right, we've covered those organizations. We have now the Bohemian Club and the Bohemian Grove, which we'll be talking about as well, a little more in detail on the local aspect of it next week as well. But you have attendees of the Bohemian Club, or Bohemian Grove, sorry, like the Bushes, you have Newt Gingrich, you have people like Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan, and you have Ernest Wilkinson, who was the president of BYU and oversaw the LDS Church educational system. Here was an article written by Spy Magazine, the establishment's secret 2-week frat party, where they talk about the Bohemian Grove and what happens there. And here's a ABC News report about the Bohemian Grove and the things that happened there.
Now a question. What have Herbert Hoover, Art Linkletter, Jack London, and Richard Nixon all had in common? Well, they've all been members of the exclusive all-male Bohemian Club in California, where every year at this time, the elite from around the country get together for 2.5 weeks of fun and games. Steve Shepard has this special assignment report.
More than 2,000 members of San Francisco's exclusive and all-male Bohemian Club have once again descended on Northern California. These men will spend most of the month of July encamped on some 2,700 acres of pristine and privately owned redwood forest. Forest very much like this. The place is called Bohemian Grove, and it's located just 80 miles north of San Francisco. Among its members are businessmen like Leonard Firestone and Edgar Kaiser, and political figures like Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger, William French Smith, and George Shultz. President Reagan, Vice President Bush, and Defense Secretary Weinberger are members of other camps. Richard Nixon is a Bohemian, and so are high-ranking executives of such companies as Eastern Airlines, Standard Oil of Indiana, and Bank of America. For the most part, the men of Bohemian Grove are over 50, highly successful. Membership in the Grove is by invitation only, and is determined by such factors as social standing, occupation, and personal connections. Privacy is one of the Grove's most cherished virtues. Members may not photograph, record, speak, or write about activities at the retreat. While many public officials are Grove members, the press is a distinctly unwelcome guest.
We're from ABC News.
Well, get back there.
Can we talk to somebody in the...
Get back there.
To the degree that there's anything important happens at the Bohemian Grove, it's political. The important speeches that have been made at the Bohemian Grove have been made, for instance, and the best example, by Richard Nixon. Eisenhower gave a speech there. It was the first time the West Coast establishment really saw him close up.
Discussions at the Grove in the 1930s helped lead to the development of nuclear power and the atomic bomb. It was at the Grove in 1967 that Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan hashed out differences over their presidential ambitions. Each year, guests like Henry Kissinger or Zbigniew Brzezinski address members on their areas of expertise. Presidential counselor Edwin Meese will be among this year's speakers. And each year, other guests come to the Grove simply to enjoy themselves. This year, CIA Director William Casey is a scheduled guest of John McCone, former CIA Director. Herbert Hoover called it the world's greatest men's party, and there is a list of powerful people waiting to get in on it. Steve Shepard, ABC News, San Francisco.
All right, so it's a political organization. It talks about how they hashed out differences between, before running for president. Different political things were discussed and were planned at the Bohemian Grove prior to them actually happening. But again, just like with the Skull and Bones Society, the Bohemian Grove actually has some satanic aspects to it. And so here is a secretly recorded ritual that leaders on the Republicans and Democrats on the national, state, local levels have been a part of. We see in academia as well as politics and business are participating in the worship of the owl god.
9/11, which was pursued here, has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, flames that keep thine effigy. We shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free. We shall burn thee once again. Not with me, flame, which hither ye have fought from regions where I reign.
So if this is what our elected officials are doing, you think, it helps us to really understand what is effective and what's not. you have the head of the mafia, you have the head of the Church of Satan, and you're going to write him a sternly written letter, and he's going to be like, you know what, you're right. Or you have these people in the two different political parties running against each other, and we think that we're working our tails off because if we don't get Bush elected, then Kerry's going to get elected, when they both have the same exact agenda. And so we're spinning our wheels, working on things that are actually putting our money and our efforts and our talents behind supporting the secret combination, because we are refusing, maybe sticking our heads in the sand, not looking into it as deep as it needs to understand the situation that we're in. And so we don't start taking the actions necessary to actually rid us of this conspiracy, as we are commanded to in Ether chapter 8 in the scriptures.